Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my eyeshadow palette review for November. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be a review video with the 10 new to me eyeshadow palettes that I tried this month. One of the looks that's on my eyes is done with one of the palettes I will be showing you here today. I will be inserting swatches, close-ups, as well as all the looks that I created with all of these palettes. So hopefully this can help you take some decisions if you are eyeing up any of these. This video will consist out of two parts. I'm gonna end on the indie palettes that I tried this month. This was a monolith order that I did at the end of September, and I finally got around to reviewing these. And then the first half of the video will be with the C Beauty and K Beauty brands that I tried in recent weeks. So let's start with the K Beauty eyeshadow palettes first. There's only one K Beauty palette here. Actually, I think the other two brands that are featured in today's video are actually C Beauty brands from what I can tell. I got these through YESSTYLE also at the end of September because I just wanted to try some more C Beauty, but because there were quite a few palettes that I picked up, I decided to split it into two and try some of them this month and then try some more next month. It is my aim to use December to try out any remaining palettes that I've picked up in recent months that I haven't reviewed for you yet. There is quite a bit from the order that I did, but I think having it split up this way worked out a lot better. There's one eyeshadow palette here though that wasn't from my order, but that I received from YESSTYLE in one of the boxes that they sent me. So I received some PR from YESSTYLE this year, and one of the palettes they sent to me to try out is this little guy. This is the 2AN Better Me eye palette in shade Dear Me. It's number 5 in case you were looking this up. So this was not something I picked up myself. This was just something that was sent to me, but this was really lovely quality. I actually used this eyeshadow palette in my recent full face of K Beauty makeup look that I did in October. So I'll make sure to link that video in the description box down below so you can actually have a look at this and see me use it in that video. This was nice. It's a very basic palette though. So the color story here isn't the most exciting thing I've ever tried. They are really good basic shades. The packaging is really nice and small and slim, so easy to carry around. This would be a great travel palette, and for how sheer K Beauty eyeshadow can sometimes be, I felt the pigmentation of this was pretty on point. You only get one true shimmer though, which is the only downside I find, but this is really pretty. It's a good neutral palette, and like I said, great for everyday or for travel for a quick and easy makeup look, and that's what I love my K Beauty palettes for. So this is definitely a good one in my book. Is this something I will go back to and I will keep around for a long time? Probably not, because A, I didn't pick it up myself, so it wasn't my choice to buy this, and that makes it easier to get rid of stuff, to be quite fair. And secondly, because I already have a million shades like this in my makeup collection, I just know it's not going to be a standout. But is it good quality eyeshadow? Does it do what you can expect it to do? For sure. And then from the C Beauty brands, I decided to try out all the palettes that I had from two of these brands. One of them is GoGo Tales, and this looked really promising. And what I have found is that GoGo Tales actually does quite a lot of cool tones. I think this is the Sweet Dreams palette. I hope that's what it's called. It says here on the back, Fairy House eyeshadow palette in G03. And this is really, really pretty. I was really chuffed with the look that I came up with this one. Unlike K Beauty, I feel that C Beauty, from what I've tried so far, is a little bit more pigmented. So if you like more pigmented shadows, then I think you're going to like this just a touch better. This was really, really pretty. Perfectly cool toned. The shimmers in here work really well. That light blue showed up really well for me. The black is intensely black. When I purchased this, the black was protected by a little layer of extra plastic to keep it protected, because I think it's a really soft shadow. It's definitely a different texture compared to everything else. So I think it would just be very easy to have it break in transit and for it to go everywhere, which is, I think, a clever thing to do. So I love this. It has some like mauvey things in here, some taupey things. It does have brown. Like, this is the only true warm tone you get. but it has some really stunning shades in, and I felt beautiful wearing this eyeshadow palette. And this was pretty cheap. As far as I remember, if I remember correctly, GoGo Tales really isn't that expensive. I definitely picked two of the cheaper brands I decided to try. So this is definitely a successful trial for me. And then the other GoGo Tales palette I have is this one. This is just the Collection eyeshadow palette. I'm not sure what these letters stand for at the front. It's in shade 1, G1. And this is if you want to go lighter than the other one. The other one has a bit more dimension. This perhaps also has a bit more warmth. I would say that the other one is a bit cooler toned. It's more taupe leaning than this is. Like this almost has like a bronze. It's like a pinky bronze shade. Really beautiful, really pretty. We do get 3 shimmers in here. The black has a bit of sparkle, but it doesn't really show up when you use it all over your face. It's got some gray tones in though as well, but it definitely has a little bit more warmth to it than the other GoGo Tales palette I tried. So the other one is my favorite of the two. This was the first one I tried, and I was instantly impressed by the formula. This is easy to blend, easy to pick up with a brush. The shimmers can be intensified with fingers or using them wet if you want to, but they still pick up with a brush as well. So for me, this was really, really successful, and I really enjoyed playing with these. These are just really, really good basic neutral eyeshadow palettes if that's what you're looking for, and they really don't break the bank. So that's definitely something that's a good thing about this eyeshadow palette. And then the second palette brand I wanted to try is Biya. I hope that's how you pronounce it. So I picked up 2 of their 4 pans. These are from the same range. And then I picked up the Function disc. And let me start off with the Function disc because this was a hot mess. This was not good. Do I have a shade on this? It seems to be shade 102. And I buy these things without doing too much research. So you could also say that's user error, you could say, by not doing your research. But sometimes I just want to try things and see if they work. This didn't work. The blue shimmer doesn't pick up. It doesn't transfer. It's a flaky mess. This highlighter type of shade was pretty. It has a bit of a blue flip. But the mattes in here were super powdery. It dusted everywhere. I could barely pick this up and blend it very easily because it felt a bit chalky. So this just wasn't good eyeshadow in my opinion. And this was really, really cheap though. Like Biya is one of the most affordable brands I have tried in recent years. This was like €5, maybe even less. And so I don't want to knock it down just for that, but it definitely is a palette that I know I won't go back to. This is an instant declutter, and I don't think I'll ever go back to this. The other 2 palettes from the same brand, however, were a lot more successful. However, I still don't love the formula of these. In terms of pigmentation, in terms of how these picked up with a brush, they worked so much better. Let me tell you what these are. These are the Cyberpunk eyeshadow discs in 104, which is the one with the red, and 101. Of the 2, 101 is my favorite. If you don't like gray eyeshadow, you're not gonna like this. But the reason why I like this a little bit better than the one with the red is because these shades all work on me. This is a good crease shade. This is a beautiful silver shimmer. The black worked really, really well. It was nice and intense, and it made for a great liner. And the matte white worked really well in the inner corner. So this is it in terms of basic eyeshadow that just gets the job done, and you're looking for a good gray tone palette. That's really, really cheap because again, these retail for around €5. It really works. The only thing I didn't love with this is the shimmer quality. It feels more like a cream, so I definitely struggled picking it up with a brush. It was best applied using fingers, which I don't always mind if the shadows still blend, and these still did. But I did feel a little bit disappointed with this purchase because it looked cooler online than how it translated to the lids. And that was definitely the case with the other one. So this is shade 104, as I mentioned. And the minute I spotted this, I was like, I just want to try it. Gray and red. I think that will be a combo made in heaven. And then I started using it, and I was like, oh, I don't really have a crease shade. Because this is a bit too light for the crease. And putting red in the crease makes my eyes look really, really tired. So that's not a good look. Decided to go for the lower lash line instead. Not sure if that was the right call, but it had to go somewhere. This dark gray is really pretty, but it is a little bit intense. And then again, we get the same sort of matte black, grayish black, you could say. The shimmer has the same formula as the one in the other palette, where it's difficult to pick up with a brush. You can still blend it if you use fingers with it, but it's more like a cream to powder formula, which is not my favorite. And I just like the silver a little bit better than I do this dark gray. The red matte applied beautifully. That was a stunning shade, but overall, I just didn't feel this came together the way I had hoped just by looking at it online. So that sometimes happens to me. And this was really, really beautiful. I did really enjoy the look I did with it, but seeing that I have still, I don't know how many, like 12 more of maybe 10 of these palettes to try, maybe less. I don't know how many I got. I tried 5 now. I think there may be like 9 or 10 more of these little K-Beauty and C-Beauty things I still need to try. So I definitely think that I'm saving the best for last, because I have a Cheery Up palette coming next month, and I have some Girl Cult, and those in the swatches blew my socks off. These were already, like, the Biya palettes were already a bit nah when I was swatching them, and I wasn't super enthusiastic about it. And I was like, this month I want the focus to be on my indie palettes, so that's where I wanted to get the most looks out of. And these were just like to fill in the gaps for days where I wanted something quick and easy. And the GoGo Tales ones were my favorite so far from this section. Those I can see definitely sticking around. At least one of them is going to stick around after a declutter, I'm sure. The rest, I'm not so sure about yet. Speaking of C-Beauty brands, we need to talk about this brand. This is Shellwe makeup, and Shellwe is sold on MONOLITH, which is why it's in the second half of this video, because I simply got it from a different place. So I decided to put it into this side of the video. This is the Somber Garden. MONOLITH is a website I do have an affiliate link with, so that will be in the description box down below. And if you use my code _Micah_5, you will get 5% off. Please be noted that the discount can be deactivated in high traffic seasons. So I'm not sure if it's currently active, but you just need to check to see if it is or not. But you can get a little bit of money off of your order if you want to. And I decided to pick this up because A, it has stunning packaging. It came in the most beautiful. I'll pop a picture up on the screen of what the actual packaging of this looked like. It was stunning. I did get the mini version. There's also a larger version, but I was like, I already have so much eyeshadow. I just want to try the brand, and they're a C-Beauty brand as well. And this has really, really stunning shimmers in. This is beautiful. I did 2 looks with it. I just split the palette into 2 sides. So one with more of like these neutrally tones and one with the purpley blues. It worked really well. Really, really amazing shimmer quality in here. Oh, I now see that even this one is magnetized. So I could technically take these pans out pretty easily because it has a little divot to be able to lift out the pan, which is good. My favorite shades are this shimmer here and this shimmer here. They are chunky, they are flaky. They do take a little bit of a learning curve to know how to work with them, but this was a beautiful palette. Color story wise, I do have notes. For me, it didn't quite come together, but the looks I did with it were absolutely stunning. I felt great wearing this. It didn't crease on me. It had great long-lasting longevity. And the 2 looks I did with this were just an ace in my book. The shimmers are really reflective. There are some multi-chromes in here as well. And I'm glad I got to try this brand because, as I mentioned, I had never tried this brand before because they were new to me this year. In this indie section, I also have a bit of a disappointment, which is surprising to me. This is the Fantasy Cosmetica and Amanda Makeup Just for Fun, their collab, and this is the Enchanted Autumn. I keep calling it the Enchanted Forest. It's Enchanted Autumn. And color story wise, I was like, this is fall in a palette. It's like another version of the Shroud Cosmetics Arcana, where Shroud has gone nobody knows. So we don't know what happened to the brand. Apparently they are no longer that active and they seem to have stopped selling products. So I was like, then this can be perhaps a good alternative to recommend to people who lusted after the Arcana but missed out on it, because that always happens, of course. Is this a beautiful palette? Yes. but this is not the quality I'm used to with Fantasy Cosmetica, and that's the reason why I felt disappointed. I already mentioned it when I did a ranking, like a palette battle with all of my Fantasy Cosmetica palettes the other day, that this green matte was really strange. It was very patchy, it was difficult to pick up with a brush. It didn't swatch well for me either, so I'm not sure if that's just a dud in my palette and nobody else has that issue, but this green matte was no bueno. And one of the things that I always love about my Fantasy Cosmetica palettes is how they do really elevated, interesting shimmers that I don't get from any other brand. And in this palette, we only get one of them, the silver. The silver is the only shimmer that is Fantasy Cosmetica worthy. The rest of these shimmers, they are very satin leaning. They are very sort of, well, just your average metallic shade, you know? It's just not that interesting. So I was really excited for this, but the shimmers really pull this one down. It has some stunning mattes. All the other mattes in here are beautiful. I like the look I did with this as well. I did two looks, one with the more purpley side and one with the greeny gold side. It worked. The looks were stunning, but there were definitely a couple of shades in here that I just wanted more from. Also because I know what this brand can do, and it almost feels to me like they skimped on a couple of things here. Maybe it's because it's 12 pans, but then again, they did the Cradle and Ice over the summertime, and that did have the interesting shimmers in, even though it was a 12 pan. You know what I mean? But I definitely feel like there is a formula change going on with Fantasy Cosmetica, and I'm not entirely sure if it's for the better. So I would definitely still recommend my other Fantasy Cosmetica palettes. Go watch that palette battle video if you're curious to know which items from Fantasy Cosmetica I truly rate very highly. This one is at the bottom of the list now. I just don't think it's on par with what I know they can do. Next up is this guy. This is the Cosmic Brushes, Cosmic Beauty. I never really know what they're called. I hear some people telling their audiences that they are now Cosmic Beauty because they do more than just brushes. But everywhere online, they are still called Cosmic Brushes. But this is the Undergrowth palette. And this was their fall release, and we all know I love some Cosmic Brushes. Some of my favorite indie brand palettes are by this brand. I love them. I think they're stunning. And this is a stunning palette as well. But here again, I had some issues. I really, really did. Not quality-wise, but color story-wise. I just felt it didn't quite come together. I think I did 3 looks with this, if I'm not mistaken. I did these looks all the way at the start of the month. So it's been a while, I'm not gonna lie. But there were just some shades in here that pulled very similarly. The shimmers were weirdly deep. And I didn't always get the shimmer I wanted to go with the look. But essentially it's like a green and warm tone neutral palette. It sort of is this gradient from like the greens into some neutral browns and then the yellows with the warmer toned oranges and bronzes. It's beautiful. If you like warm tones, you're gonna love this. I bought this because this year I have been on a bit of a warm tone kick. Again, I did some stunning looks with this. But at the end of the day, I just felt that the shimmers were a little bit difficult to pick up, and that's why it just didn't end up being my favorite. Is it stunning quality? Yes. If you don't mind applying shimmers with fingers, then be my guest, but I want my shimmers to initially be picked up with a brush so I can blend them and then maybe intensify it with a finger. I don't mind having to do that, but if the only way I can really pick up an eyeshadow is by using my fingers rather than tools, I'm usually not too happy about it. So that's why this one is a little bit less of a favorite than some of the other palettes I have from the same brand. And finally, the eyeshadow palette that is on my eyes today is this guy right here, the Bella Beauté Bar Poison Garden. And this, wowza. This is what I mean with a shimmer that I want to be able to pick up with a brush. Because all these shimmers, no matter how flippy and holographic some of these are, they can be picked up with a brush and they can be blended. And so this one is like, I think this is my favorite palette I've tried all month. This is truly something differently. I don't come across eyeshadow palettes that often that I feel truly offer something unique to my makeup collection. I have over 350 eyeshadow palettes currently in my makeup collection. I know, insanity. I need to do a really, really big declutter come 2025. But this one is unlike anything I've ever tried. The mattes, excellent quality. The shimmers, as I already mentioned, excellent quality. The color story has a bit of everything. Yes, you have warmth. Yes, you have cool tones. It's dark. That's the only downside that I can think of. If you don't like dark eyeshadow, you're not gonna like it. I've got this lighter gray here, this one. That's what's in my crease. It went on a little bit darker than I had expected. But what I also used all over the lids is this shimmer right here. And then a little bit of these two green tones and a bit of this brown. And it came together so nicely. I think I even, like, this is my favorite shade in the entire palette. This is in the inner corner today. And then I did a look with these warmer tones at the top. I did a look with these 4 shades. And I did a look with the 6 shades over here. So 4 looks in total to try out every single shade here. The mattes are intense, yet no, like, the issue I very often have with dark shades like this is that they don't blend well, because very often dark shades has certain pigments in them that can make it harder to blend, but these are smooth and they work really well. So if you don't like really dark shadows, this may not be for you, but it's the thing that makes this palette stand out in my book, because the shimmers also have that level of depth to it, but they're deep without making them black, which is revolutionary in my book, because very often if we get deeper shimmers, they have a deep, dark, black base. These don't. They are unique in their own, like, in their own setup. Every single shimmer in here has a bit of sparkle, a flip, that you don't really know what you're going to get at first, but it's still really beautiful. It applies smoothly. There are no weird chunks in here. None of them are flaky. They do have a more creamy texture, I would say. But as I mentioned, I don't mind that if I can pick it up with a brush, and that's definitely the case here. One of my other favorite shades is this shade here. This is really pretty. And also this shade here and this shade here are just absolutely stunning. I don't think my camera does it any justice, because these all have some sort of multifaceted aspect to it. This, in my brain, is a dark rainbow palette, which I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it has all the colors of the rainbow, but then incredibly saturated and deep and dark and grungy. This one is one of my new favorites. I think this has to go onto my end of year favorites list. This is absolutely gorgeous. One of the most unique things I've tried all year. So that said, those are all of the eyeshadow palettes that I reviewed for you in recent weeks. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me, because I do make one of these videos every single month where I test out some eyeshadow palettes that are new to my collection. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!